When divine signs cease, 7 miraculous shifts are revealed for your prophetic transformation. In the quaint village of Abershire, the resolute steeple of St. Michael's Church pierced the sky like a promise, cradling the hopes of its people. But as the sun dipped below the horizon one evening, that promise began to crumble for Luke, a devoted father wrestling with despair. His beloved wife, Sarah, lay motionless in their home, her spirit wrestled away by a baffling illness. Luke had already witnessed the vibrant light of her laughter fade, replaced by a pervasive silence that clung to their modest home. He felt as if the very skies had closed over him, the air thick with doubt. As he clung to the remnants of his faith, a flickering candle in a tempest, as Luke stepped into the church that night for the prayer meeting, he was enveloped by the familiar warmth of a community gathered in faith. The air thrummed with urgency. Voices intertwined in fervent prayers, each plea climbing higher, yet Luke felt like an island adrift in a stormy sea. His heart wrestled with doubt. Would God hear his cries amidst so many? Would his own desperation reach heaven's threshold? Suddenly, a stillness settled over the room, a tension thick enough to cut. "Hold on, Luke," spoke Edith, a woman known for her prophetic whispers. "The Lord's hand is upon your family. A change is coming." Gasps and murmurs erupted, encouragement unwrapped like fresh bread. Yet doubt crept in like a shadow. Where was that change? Where was God when it hurt so deeply? Weeks slipped into a slow, agonizing rhythm. Sarah's affliction festered, each day stealing another fleeting moment from their family, a laugh, a gentle touch gone like dew under the sun. With every doctor's visit, Luke felt more ensnared in darkness. He sought remedies, chased after alternative treatments, clinging desperately to control, but chaos only multiplied. Each prayer felt like a pebble thrown into an endless ocean, leaving behind ripples of unanswered questions. On a night heavy with the weight of unanswered prayers, Luke knelt beside Sarah's bed, tears streaming down his face. Where was God in this aching void? The air hummed as if charged with something unseen, a divine presence that seemed just out of reach. Just then, the villagers arrived unannounced, like a heavenly host summoned by desperation itself. Their faces were alight with faith, and silence fell, wrapping around them like a cherished cloak. "God is here," a voice broke through, resonating with a certainty that stirred something deep within. As they prayed, Luke felt an unmistakable shift in the air, in his spirit. Light flooded the room, so bright and pure, it was as if heaven itself had opened wide. Suddenly, in that sacred moment, Sarah's eyes fluttered open, clarity igniting a smile that painted life back onto her features. This miraculous occurrence reverberated through Luke's heart, igniting a series of 7 shifts that would irrevocably alter their lives. Each shift was a revelation, beacons of God's purpose unfurling in unexpected manners. Yet still, questions danced on the edge of his mind. What did this mean for their future? Could they hold onto this miracle when the next storm threatened? With Sarah smiling back at him, a flicker of hope ignited within Luke. God's work often unfolded in the shadows, but perhaps, just perhaps, he had been guiding them all along. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. Luke's heart raced as the villagers gasped in wonder, each shift unraveling the very fabric of doubt they had clung to. But with divine intervention often came the weight of expectation. What new battles lay ahead? As the flickering candle of faith illuminated their fragile hearts, Luke knew trials would come. Yet, emboldened by Sarah's resurrection from despair, he embraced the unknown. God was moving, and just when it seemed he was silent, Miracles were unveiling in the most unexpected of ways. The weeks that followed were a blur of joy and confusion. The village buzzed with hope, and every encounter felt charged with promise. Luke stood beside Sarah, still trembling from the miracle of her awakening. It felt surreal, as though they had walked from the shadows into a brilliant light. Yet in that light, shadows of concern lingered. Questions loomed large in Luke's mind. How would they rebuild their lives after the grip of fear had threatened to consume them? Little by little, Sarah regained her strength. She smiled more, embraced their children with open arms, and infused their home with the laughter that had long been absent. Yet Luke saw the weariness in her eyes, the traces of worry creeping in. As she embraced each new day with gratitude, Luke couldn't shake the nagging feeling that a deeper challenge awaited them. One afternoon, as Sarah rested, Luke ventured into the woods near their village. He often found solace there, where the trees whispered secrets and the birds sang praises. In a quiet space, he poured out his heart to God, for everything still felt frail. "Lord, you pulled her from the brink. But what now? What purpose do you have for us? Show me the way." It was then that he noticed a flicker of movement in the corner of his eye. A butterfly danced on the breeze, its delicate wings painted in vibrant colors. It flitted from flower to flower, absorbing the beauty around it. For a moment, time paused. Luke remembered an old saying, "Transformation comes after the trial." This butterfly, born from a cocoon, had undergone its own battle. It was a living testament of renewal. Feeling renewed himself, Luke turned back toward the village, where many awaited their next miracle. This time, it wasn't just Sarah's healing they expressed gratitude for. It was the community that held them up, each prayer a strand woven into their lives. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow, Luke felt a profound sense of belonging. He returned home to find the children gathered at the table, laughter spilling forth, each voice vibrant with the simple joy of togetherness. He joined them, smiling as light flared in his heart. But as they shared the meal, a stirring reminder of what had come before whispered under the laughter. There were still unanswered questions about their ordeal. That night, as Luke lay beside Sarah, he marveled at her slumbering form. The flickering candle beside them illuminated her tender features. The miracle had come to pass, yet dreams mingled with fears in the stillness of the room. What purpose lay hidden in the depths of their experience? A soft rustle outside drew Luke's gaze. He caught a glimpse of the villagers gathering just beyond the window, their silhouettes etched against the moonlight, united in prayer. He felt a profound connection, as if their shared hope bound them together. In that moment, Luke understood that the revelations unfolding around him were planted deep within a rich soil of community faith. As days passed and questions mounted, wisdom began to bloom from each conversation and shared moment. What if God was leading us not merely toward miracles, but toward a deeper purpose within us? He wondered. Then one evening, as twilight painted the sky in hues of violet and crimson, Edith called for a gathering at the church. She felt an urgency, a divine call that resonated deep in her soul. Luke's heart quickened with anticipation. What revelation awaited them now? In the silence of the church, the flickering candlelight wove shadows of prayerful expectancy across the faces gathered. The weight of collective faith filled the air, electric with possibility. With each heartbeat, Luke pondered, when they unveil the next shift, will it lead to a deeper understanding of God's plan or shatter the fragile peace we've found? Uncertainty danced with hope. The next chapter awaited, unfolding in divine mystery. The church was filled with a gentle light, as if the very atmosphere was alive with expectation. Luke settled into a pew, his thoughts swirling. There was an honest yearning in the hearts of all who had gathered, a deep desire for guidance and understanding. Edith's face shone with conviction as she stepped toward the altar. His spirit lifted with every word that spilled from her lips. "We are here tonight not just to recount the miracle we've witnessed," she began, her voice cutting through the stillness. We gather to listen, to discern what God wants us to learn, to recognize the path ahead. Her gaze swept across the congregation, eyes gleaming with fervor. What may seem like uncertainty is often the very ground upon which God builds our faith. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the room. Each heart beat together, resonating in the shared energy of hope. Luke felt a warmth spreading within him. Edith continued, urging them to pray, to open their hearts to the Lord's whisper. Close your eyes, she beckoned softly, and let your mind be still. And so they did, the collective hum of prayer enveloping the church like a sacred cloak. Luke reached deep within, laying bare his hopes and fears before God. Moments slid by, heavy with sacred silence. He sought clarity, desperate to see the path that lay ahead. Then, a faint vibration coursed through the space, igniting something deep in his soul. A vision began to form. He saw their village, once shrouded in darkness, now blossoming with life. Families gathered around tables, laughter echoing through the streets. Strangers became friends, solidifying bonds of unity through shared trials and triumphs. Clothing hung on lines, bright and fluttering like flags of victory. Each image sang of renewal, as if captured moments were painted by a divine artist. Then Edith spoke again, breaking his trance. "What do you see, my friends?" Her voice was steady, inviting a chorus of responses. "I see community," one voice called out. "I see healing," added another, the joy palpable. As they shared their visions, Luke felt the atmosphere shift deeper. God was stirring, unveiling layers of truth they had yet to comprehend. Each revelation was a brushstroke, adding to the masterpiece of their journey. It was not merely about individual miracles. It was a call to something much greater. Edith brought them back gently, her spirit contagious. "Each of you carries a piece of this divine puzzle," she said, her eyes alight. God's plans do not just revolve around blessings, but beckon us toward a life of purpose. Luke's heart raced. Purpose. That word echoed like a drum in his mind. What if they were meant to cultivate hope in others, to nurture faith where fear once thrived? As thoughts circled, a sense of clarity emerged. The night continued, the fellowship woven not just through voices, but through shared contemplations and prayers. Each testimony fortified his belief that they were at a pivotal juncture. They were not simply at the mercy of fate. They were to be active participants in a profound transformation. As the gathering began to conclude, a sense of urgency filled the air. Edith raised her hands, inviting them to join. "Let us proclaim together the spirit of this season." A season of breakthrough. Joy surged among them, propelling them to stand and join in boisterous affirmation. Luke felt the final threads of his worries unravel as he raised his voice high. In that moment, he understood that they stood on the brink of something monumental. Where will this newfound purpose lead us? He thought, glancing around at the radiant faces illuminated by candlelight. The gathering eventually broke, but an electric hum lingered in his spirit. It was a call to action, a reminder that divine encounters often lead to divine responsibilities. As he stepped outside into the cool night air, the questions bubbled beneath his surface, sending a thrill down his spine. What revelations lay in wait, concealed in the heart of their community? And just then, a shooting star streaked across the sky, illuminating the darkness. Gaston's laughter echoed nearby, a child attempting to reach the stars. In that cosmic splendor, Luke pondered, are these moments just glimpses of what is to come? Or does God have something specific to say to us? A silence fell. Anticipation crackled like the air before a storm. What miracles awaited them as they walked forward in faith? Luke stepped out of the church, the echo of hope still ringing in his ears. The cool night air was alive with anticipation, as if the very universe conspired to unveil what lay ahead. Each breath he took seemed to carry the whispers of dreams, mingling with the scent of damp earth and fallen leaves. He turned to find Edith standing just outside the door, her silhouette framed by the soft glow of street lamps. "What do you sense, Luke?" she asked, her voice imbued with a serenity that made it easy to open up. "I feel an urge to move forward," Luke replied, the words spilling forth with the sincerity he often reserved for prayer. "It's like the world is waiting for us to take a step, to act on this purpose we've been feeling." Edith nodded slowly, her eyes reflecting an understanding that radiated warmth. "Yes, but action must be guided by wisdom. The significance of our vision cannot be lost in haste." As they walked through the village, the quiet streets seemed infused with possibility. The stars above twinkled, each flickering light serving as a reminder of the dreams they carried. "Is it possible," Luke mused aloud, "that each person we pass holds a piece of this puzzle? Each soul with its own story, its own miracle yearning to unfold?" "Absolutely," Edith answered, her tone firm yet gentle. "Every interaction is a brush with destiny. We need to listen and to be present." The atmosphere thickened with both challenge and promise as they strolled. Every face they encountered sparked something within Luke. An old man leaned against a lamppost, eyes wise and weathered, while a young girl chased her shadows and giggles. He imagined the stories nestled in their hearts, the burdens they bore, the dreams they dared to dream. Suddenly, a cry shattered the night's peace. A mother rushed down the road, her face painted in worry, holding a small child close. Luke's heart quickened, and he felt a surge of compassion rise within him. "We should help," he said instinctively, turning toward Edith. Without hesitation, she nodded and grasped his arm. "Let us go, but remember to keep your heart open." As they approached the distressed mother, Edith spoke soothing words, wrapping them in a gentle embrace of calm. "What is wrong, dear sister?" "My son," she gasped, panic lacing her voice. "He has a fever. I don't know what to do." Luke felt the urgency pulse through him. "Can I take a look?" he asked, stepping forward with a newfound confidence. The mother hesitated but then nodded, desperation pushing her to trust. He knelt beside the child, whose small body was trembling. In that moment, Luke remembered Edith's words, and he closed his eyes, whispering a prayer that felt like a lifeline woven of faith and hope. With an unmistakable peace washing over him, he reached out to touch the boy's forehead. The warmth was almost overwhelming, but beneath it, he sensed a flicker of life. "You will be okay," he murmured, feeling the child relax slightly under his hand. As the seconds passed, the child's breathing steadied, and the mother let out a soft, disbelieving gasp as the boy's color returned. Luke opened his eyes, surprised to see life returning to the little one that Edith clasped her hands together, vibrant joy illuminating her face. "Look, God is showing us." The mother embraced her child, overwhelmed, tears streaming down her cheeks. Thank you," she cried, her words a melody of gratitude that filled the night air. Luke stood nearby, heart racing. Was this the start of the miraculous shifts they sensed earlier? Did the path of their divine purpose unfold in acts of love and compassion? As the stars shimmered brightly above, a sense of clarity began to settle in Luke's spirit. One step had led to another, revealing the interconnectedness of their purpose and those around them. Could it be that they were meant to awaken hope in others? He glanced back at Edith, who wore a knowing smile. "This is just the beginning. I senti it. Indeed, my friend, the journey ahead is rich with divine interaction." But just as a hint of certainty settled back into their hearts, the heavens above stirred. A thick cloud rolled in unexpectedly, blocking out the stars, as if the universe held its breath, waiting for them to step deeper into the unknown. And in that moment, Luke felt an awakening stirring inside him, a pull towards something extraordinary. What awaited them beyond this miraculous night? What new revelations were just beyond the veil of the familiar? Questions echoed silently in the depths of his heart. The air grew heavy as the clouds billowed, casting uneasy shadows upon the bright memories of joy and healing they had just witnessed. It was as if the universe itself conspired to block their path, Yet beneath the obscured sky, Luke felt something stirring deep within him, a holy restlessness, an invitation to embrace the unknown. "What do you feel now?" Edith asked, her voice gentle yet strong, pulling him from his thoughts. "I sense a challenge," Luke said, the weight of the moment pressing around them. "It feels significant, almost like a test. Do you think this is a sign that we are meant to press on, or a warning to tread carefully?" Edith pondered for a moment, her expression thoughtful. "Perhaps it is both. We must maintain our faith and also channel it wisely. Trials often come before breakthroughs." As they stood in the dusky light, the cries of the village faded, replaced by an unnatural silence. Luke sensed the palpable tension in the air, a suspended moment, heavy with expectation. He thought back to the moments of clarity they had just shared, and how quickly the divine thread of connection had stitched itself around their hearts. "Look there," Edith whispered, pointing to a path that wound away from the street. "That seems to lead into the woods. Should we explore?" With a quickening heartbeat, Luke nodded. "Yes, let's go where the light leads." They ventured into the shadows of the woods, where the trees seemed to cradle them in a protective embrace. The path twisted and turned, illuminated only by the occasional flicker of moonlight breaking through the dense canopy above. Each step felt like a step into destiny, a tangible reminder that faith often walks along the edge of uncertainty. As they walked, Luke noticed a glimmer on the ground, slightly off the path. They paused, and Luke bent down to find a small silver coin, battered yet beautiful. "What do you make of this?" he asked, holding it up for Edith to see. "It reminds me of the parable of the lost coin," she said softly. "Sometimes, what seems lost or forgotten holds incredible value. Perhaps this is God's way of speaking to us, a nudge to remember the lost around us." Luke's heart swelled with understanding. Then we really are meant to seek out those in need. But what about us? Are we lost, or do we have something to offer? "All of us bear wounds and stories, Luke," she replied, her voice steady with conviction. "And in sharing those stories with each other, we find healing. The miraculous doesn't just happen to those who are whole. It often manifests in the broken too." They continued deeper into the woods, guided now not just by the need to act, but by the purpose of connection with one another and those waiting to be found. A sudden rustle in the bushes caught their attention. From the thicket, a young boy appeared, eyes wide with a mixture of fear and curiosity. Are you here to help?" he asked, his voice trembling like a fragile leaf. Luke knelt to meet his gaze, enveloping the child in the warmth of his presence. "Yes, we are here to help. What is troubling you?" "I've lost my way, and my friends," he sniffled, glancing back into the shadows. As the boy's despair hung in the air, Luke felt that miraculous tug again, the sensation that had filled the moments of faith before. This was another chance to guide a wandering soul back to the light. "Let us find your friends together," Luke promised, determination blossoming within him. "You're not alone anymore." The boy smiled faintly, lightening the heaviness of the moment. With each step forward, Luke sensed their intertwined fates knitting together, as if this very journey was a sacred mission, a dance between light and dark. But as the echoes of hope grew louder, the clouds surrounding them thickened, filling their spirits with questions. What further challenges lay in store? What other lost souls awaited their discovery? A divine wind whispered through the trees, stirring both leaves and hearts. Their quest had only just begun. The air shifted, thick with anticipation. Luke felt the weight of the boy's small hand grasping his, a fragile remnant of innocence and fear. Their footsteps made a gentle rhythm on the earth, a heartbeat in sync with a greater purpose. Luke glanced at Edith, who nodded encouragingly, her eyes reflecting a shared mission. "Do you think your friends are close?" Edith asked, her voice soothing, as if to calm both the boy and herself. "I heard them laughing before. I thought I could find them again," the boy whispered, hope flickering like a candle in a drafty room. Luke knelt before him again. "Let us call for them. They might hear us." With a deep breath, he lifted his voice into the enveloping darkness. "Hello, can anyone hear us?" The woods echoed with silence for a heartbeat before a distant giggle reached their ears, sending a spark of excitement through the boy. He lit up, clutching Luke's hand tighter. "Did you hear that?" That essed them. With renewed vigor, they moved deeper into the thicket. The laughter grew nearer, weaving a melody of joy and urgency through the trees. With each pulse of sound, Luke felt the fear receding from the boy's heart, replaced by something far more powerful: faith. "Keep listening," Edith urged, her voice a guiding light. "Faith is often found in the smallest moments." "Isn't it?" Luke nodded, thinking of the silver coin they'd found earlier. What stories had it held? Every journey began with a single step, a single choice to believe in the unseen. But as they pressed on, the shadows intertwined with the trees grew denser. The air seemed to crackle with an electric tension. Shadows shifted, dancing in the corner of their eyes, and the wind rustled like whispers of caution. Luke felt a shiver run down his spine. Was it fear, or the presence of something holy? Suddenly, they emerged into a small clearing. The moonlight bathed them in silver, illuminating the silhouettes of two more children behind a large oak tree. They seemed enthralled in a game, oblivious to the danger of the forest's depths. "There they are!" the boy shouted, breaking into a dash. Luke and Edith exchanged a smile, feeling the relief wash over them. But just as they stepped forward to embrace this happy reunion, the clouds above shifted, blocking the moonlight. The clearing became steeped in shadow again. An unnerving stillness descended. "Wait," Edith called out, her eyes scanning the surroundings. "Something feels off." Before Luke could respond, the wind picked up, swirling around them with a frenzied purpose. A low rumble rolled through the air, vibrating in Luke's chest. He closed his eyes tightly as the unseen forces wrestled for his attention, a spiritual battle unfolding before him. "Stay close," he shouted, gripping the boy's hand tighter, but the shadows seemed to pulse, challenging their resolve. "What is happening?" the boy asked in terror. "It's a test," Luke said, pouring every ounce of faith he had into those words. "We must stand together. Fear can't hold us." In that moment, amidst the swirling shadows, something shifted within Luke. He felt fire ignite in his heart, a sacred warmth pushing back against the coldness of doubt. With clarity that pierced the darkness, he reached out, taking Edith's hand. They formed a circle, a protective barrier of light and intention. "We are not alone," Edith called, her voice strong and unwavering. "The light within us is greater than the darkness that surrounds us." Their declaration sent a ripple through the night, and Luke felt a surge, as if the very fabric of the universe acknowledged their truth. The shadows shuddered, then receded. The distant laughter grew louder, a triumphant melody of hope cutting through the fear. Luke opened his eyes just as the clouds parted, revealing a shimmering sky full of stars. Each one glimmered with promise, echoing the newfound faith that stirred among them. But as they stood united in that moment of victory, questions bubbled to the surface once more. What had they truly unleashed? What miracles awaited them? A path stretched wide before them, beckoning with endless possibilities, and Luke felt the divine wind whisper again, stirring his spirit with unspoken mysteries ahead. What would they discover next? The laughter, once distant, now vibrantly close, encapsulated the clearing with its innocent joy. Luke felt a warmth in his chest. The shadows had retreated, but left him with lingering questions. He glanced at the boy, whose face was alight with hope, and then to Edith, whose expression held a mix of wonder and concern. "Shall we go see?" he asked, trying to anchor their spirits in curiosity rather than fear. The boy nodded vigorously, his small hand still clutching tightly onto Luke's. They stepped forward together, walking toward the bright silhouettes that danced under the stars. As they approached, Luke felt a shimmering presence enveloping them, almost like a gentle breeze that carried whispers of encouragement. It was as if the very fabric of the night was stitched together with threads of grace. The two children behind the oak tree turned, their faces glowing with excitement. Despite the forest's earlier chill, it seemed that all nervous energy had been replaced by an atmosphere of reverence. "Who are you?" one of the children asked, her head tilted as though she could see the light that linked them, an innate understanding passing between them. "We're here to find our friends," the boy chimed in, beaming with a joy that cast away previous fears. "Then you found us," said the other child, voice ringing clear like a bell. "We were playing by the star tree. Want to join?" "Star tree?" Luke wondered. In a moment, all thoughts of caution dissolved, overtaken by genuine curiosity. "Follow us," they chimed, darting towards the deeper woods. The moonlight flickered like a guide, illuminating the path ahead as they walked. Luke felt Edith's fingers intertwine with his. They exchanged knowing glances. Their hearts were united by purpose. Yet an inexplicable feeling lingered. Were they being led into the sacred? Or was it something unearthly lurking behind the joy? Whispers of hope and hesitation danced around them. Suddenly, the path opened into a grand scene. Tall trees formed a protective canopy, their leaves glistening with droplets that appeared like stars caught in nature's embrace. In the center stood a magnificent tree, its bark shimmering with a celestial glow. Luke gasped softly. It looked as if it had captured the light of 1,000 stars. "Welcome to the star tree," the child exclaimed. "It gives wishes to those who believe." Luke felt Edith squeeze his hand tighter, and he couldn't help but smile at the sheer beauty surrounding them. "What kind of wishes?" the boy asked, his youthful excitement cutting through any tension that had simmered beneath the surface. "Wishes of the heart," responded the first child, her eyes sparkling. "Wishes that change everything." Luke knelt before the tree, its energy pulsing through the ground beneath him. He closed his eyes, feeling a deep connection, as if the universe was leaning in closer, carrying secrets yet to be unveiled. Edith touched the trunk lightly, and suddenly a breeze rushed through the clearing, swirling around them, lifting the leaves and carrying them like whispers carried through time. She gasped, "What if we each make a wish?" In that moment, Luke's heart raced. What did he wish for? A vision of hope flashed before him, people united, their burdens lifted, love cascading like a waterfall. "Let us do it together," he said, looking into Edith's eyes, feeling her faith mingling with it. As they formed a circle around the tree, the night grew still, awaiting their intentions. On the count of 3, Luke whispered, feeling the weight of the moment. 1, 2, 3. They released their intentions into the vibrant ether as the leaves rustled, quivering with life. Yet, as the sound began to settle, a shadow flitted across the edge of the clearing. Luke's heart dropped. What had they invited in? Did they truly understand the weight of the wishes they had just spoken? Only time would reveal what lay ahead. What changes awaited them now? What signs would guide them forward as they walked deeper into this divine mystery? The whispers of the leaves grew louder, almost as if they were engaged in a conversation with the winds. Luke's heart raced. A chill crept back into the air, yet the beauty of the star tree shimmered with an ethereal glow that drew them in deeper. "Do you feel that?" Edith breathed, her voice barely a whisper, eyes wide with wonder. Luke nodded, unable to find his own words. The atmosphere was thick with expectation, as if the very ground beneath them was preparing for something extraordinary. The long shadows flickered again, casting fleeting shapes that danced among the trees. Luke's grip on Edith tightened as he felt a sudden pull on his spirit, a yearning for the light that flickered just beyond their reach. Something profound was happening, something almost sacred. "Stay close," he cautioned the boy and the other child. They huddled together, their faces aglow with a mixture of fear and wonder. The star tree, majestic and shimmering, stood in perfect stillness, yet its roots seemed to pulse, as if they were breathing, as if sensing their hesitance. The child who had invited them spoke up. "When you wish upon the star tree, you don't just ask for something. You invite change, and sometimes that means letting go." Letting go. Luke felt the weight of those words settle upon his heart. He thought back to everything weighing him down, memories of heartbreak, fear of the unknown, and his longing for peace. Then the sudden sound, a soft crackle like twinkling stars, fell to earth. Luke watched as the leaves began to dance wildly, swirling together to form a luminous figure. It flickered, unsure yet undeniably present. "But what are you?" Luke whispered, feeling his courage waver under the weight of the mystery. "I am the spirit of this place," the figure intoned gently, a voice like the softest melody. With each word, Luke could see glimpses of memories taken from lives grasping at hope. "You have called forth the truth in your hearts. Yet, before wishes are granted, you must first reflect upon what holds you captive." Luke exchanged glances with Edith. They were both caught between awe and realization. What held them captive? The unfulfilled promises of love, dreams obscured by doubts, or perhaps the oppressive fear of a future unseen. The spirit continued, "Seek the shadows within, for only when you release them will the wishes of your hearts take flight." A tremor of responsibility spoke to Luke, igniting a fire deep within. The weight of desire turned into a possibility of revelation. Suddenly, he felt even more connected to the moment. "How do we let go?" he inquired, the urgency of his voice reflecting the earnest longing in his soul. "Through truth," the figure replied. "Embrace what you fear. You will find that every wish that is true will be met with divine guidance." A deep silence fell over the clearing as they pondered the spirit's words. Luke's heart pulsed with newfound clarity. Yes, there were burdens to set free, fears to confront, and shadows to push away. He looked at Edith, who nodded, her eyes sparkling with understanding. "We can do this together," she said softly. The surrounding forest felt alive with anticipation. Luke felt the pulse of the tree beneath him resonating with the heartbeat of his own intentions. "Then let us face these shadows," he declared, together hearts wide open. As they turned back to the star tree, a radiant light began to envelop them, warming their souls as hope blossomed like flowers in spring. The shadows danced at the edges, hesitant yet alive with potential. Luke, Edith, and the children of light stood ready to confront, to engage, to transform. But just then, the swirling light began to pulse with urgency, and Luke felt a shift in the atmosphere. What new trials would test their resolve? Their journey was only just beginning, and the next step lay ahead, veiled in divine mystery. How would they rise to the challenge of reclaiming their truths? The radiant light surged around them, pulsating like the very heartbeat of creation. It was as if the star tree had awakened, and with it, faint whispers of hope resonated in the air. Luke could feel the warmth surrounding him, almost cradling him, urging forth the courage he felt within. "Can you see it?" he asked Edith, his voice low and filled with awe. She nodded, eyes shining, but there was a depth of understanding that spoke volumes. Together, they shared a moment of silent connection, a bond forged by shared dreams and the weight of their unspoken fears. The spirit hovered before them, shimmering with an inviting glow. "You stand upon the threshold," it announced with a voice that caressed their spirits, "between the shadows of what has been and the radiant path that lies ahead. You have the power to transform your fears into strength." Luke's heart quickened. He had fought battles within himself, wrestling with shadows that felt almost alive. He shot a glance at the children beside them. Their expressions ranged from curiosity to wonder. They too were on the verge of awakening, poised to step into their own destinies. "Release what has held you hostage," the spirit continued, drawing closer. "Let go the chains of self-doubt. Speak your truth into the light, and watch how it transforms into clarity." With that profound invitation echoing in his mind, Luke took a step forward, yet still hesitated. "What if I'm afraid of what I find?" he whispered, revealing a shard of vulnerability. "Fear not the journey," the spirit reassured, its shimmering form flickering gently. "It's through acceptance that you will find your wings. The light does not abandon, it illuminates." The words washed over Luke like a gentle wave, enticing him. Yet, it was not just his journey that intertwined with this moment. It was Edith's and the other children standing close. Together, they represented a collective yearning for hope that transcended individual fears. "What do we do now?" Edith asked, her voice trembling with equal parts exhilaration and dread. "Embrace the unknown," the spirit answered, radiating warmth. "Sit in stillness for a moment. Meditate upon your fears and let them unfold before you. With each breath, speak your truth aloud. In doing so, you shall rise transformed." Luke closed his eyes. Breathing deeply, he touched the energy surrounding them, feeling his essence merge with the heart of the star tree. He envisioned the fears that haunted him, the dark corners of regret, the lingering shadows of insecurities. With a steady voice, he began to speak them into existence. "I fear failure," he admitted, feeling the weight lift as he acknowledged it. "I fear being unworthy of love. I fear the unknown future." As he articulated his fears, a soft wind began to swirl, carrying his words up among the leaves. Each confession resonated in the stillness, echoing back a tapestry of understanding. He opened his eyes to see Edith clasping her hands, eyes closed in deep concentration. Around them, the luminous figure shimmered brighter. "See, your fears are stepping stones. They lead you toward your truth. Generously release them." Edith tentatively began to speak. "I fear rejection. I fear not being enough. Losing those I care about." With every word, the vibrant light pulsed and danced. Others joined, voicing their fears and insecurities, creating an incredible energy that bonded them all. They began to realize they weren't alone in this sacred moment. They were forming a circle of strength, vulnerable yet united. Suddenly, the forest stirred. The shadows that once threatened to envelop them began to retreat, shrinking from the power of their unified voices. It was as if their honesty ignited the very air around them. Luke looked at Edith, witnessing the joy emerging in her eyes, the boundless hope rising like the morning sun breaking through clouds. "This is our truth," he said, a smile spreading across his face. "This is how we transform." Together, they echoed, a chorus of faith resounding in the clearing. Their words filled the space, a gentle but profound. Stillness took hold. The spirit of the star tree floated closer, its eyes shimmering with pride. "With this honesty comes light. It will guide your path." Yet, just then, a tremor rippled through the ground, and the once vibrant glow of the light began to flicker as shadows whispered back from the depths. What awaited them on this newfound journey? What test would challenge their unity and faith before they could truly reclaim their truths? The horizon of possibility stretched out before them, teetering with divine mystery. The next step beckoned, enticing them to seek the wonders that awaited. The air hung heavy, laden with promise as the echoes of truth lingered in the stillness. Luke caught his breath. They had faced the darkness together, yet the journey was far from over. He looked around, meeting the eyes of those gathered, the children still beaming with innocence, and Edith, a steadfast light at his side, whose faith had been a guiding beacon throughout this divine odyssey. Together, Luke whispered, feeling the vibrancy of their shared experience spark something profound within him. With renewed resolve, he grasped Edith's hand tightly and turned towards the heart of the clearing, where the star tree pulsated with life, urging them to press. They stood united. The spirit of the star tree shimmered before them, its presence now more palpable. "Let your wishes take root," it spoke, a gentle voice that caressed their spirits. "But remember, true transformation requires stepping beyond your comfort zones. The heart must engage with the very shadows that haunt it. Will you guide us?" Luke asked, knowing the weight of his question. "I am but a reflection of your desires," came the Spirit's reply. "Let your courage match the fervor of your hearts." In that moment, Luke could feel the collective faith swirl around them, gathering strength like the wind before a storm. The air crackled with energy, igniting a sense of urgency within him. They would face this next chapter together, and nothing could extinguish their fervor now. With a heartbeat of determination, Luke turned to his companions. Let us each share our heart as true wish, for it is in the vulnerability of our trust that miracles will unfold. Ready? One by one, they began to speak, weaving their hopes into the fabric of the night. A wish for longing fulfilled, for healing from the past, for connection and understanding. Each word soared upward like smoke rising from a burning candle, dissipating into the starry sky. The stirrings of life felt vibrant, and Luke could sense the shadows retreating, fueled by the collective light of their shared truth. As their wishes floated forth, the spirit shimmered, encircling them. Now, step into the sacred space, it commanded. Emboldened, Luke took a deep breath and approached the star tree once more, whispering his most cherished desire, a future brimming with hope, love, and community bound by faith. As he spoke, he felt warmth envelop him, igniting a fire deep within. "Do you feel the shift?" Edith asked, her voice quivering with excitement. "Yes, it's like a wave," Luke breathed, pushing us forward. Suddenly, the atmosphere crackled. Light streamed from the star tree, weaving in and out of the shadows, transforming the clearing into a luminous haven. The tree itself seemed to tremble, a sigh of acknowledgement escaping its vast branches. "What comes next?" the boy asked, eyes wide with wonder. "Divine action," the spirit spoke, its voice weaving through the thick energy. "What you have summoned requires your participation." "Participation?" Luke echoed, clarity washing over him. They needed to act upon their wishes, to let them guide their steps in the village beyond the woods. "Follow your heart's calling," the spirit urged. "Each wish can bloom, each step can heal." With resolve sparkling in his veins, Luke gathered his companions. "We must return to our village, share what we've learned, and uplift others who feel lost in shadows. It's time to become vessels of hope." "What if we fail?" a child asked, fear creeping back into the edges of his voice. "Every failure is but a step in the journey. What is important is that we lead with love," Edith reassured, her gaze warm. Luke nodded, emboldened by her wisdom. "Let us go. Together, we'll reveal the power of community, how light interweaves with darkness, illuminating every corner." They set off, the swift movement igniting magic in their hearts. The path felt different now, lit with purpose, as they emerged from the woods into the village. Every direction radiated energy, anticipation, and an intrinsic bond that connected them. In their hearts, they understood the weight of being alive, the power in community, and the resilience of faith. With each step, they carried a prophecy of renewal, a message to awaken hope where despair had once cast its shadow. As they approached the heart of the village, the starry glow from the tree lingered behind them, a map guiding their mission forward. "Gather everyone," Luke called out, and soon, families flooded outside, drawn by the contagious spirit of their arrival. With radiant voices united, Luke and his companions began to share their journey, intertwining their wishes into a tapestry of collective longing. They spoke of fear transformed, of wishing in faith, and the beauty of healing in community. The villagers listened, mouths agape, hearts wide open. Luke could see a flicker of hope igniting within each face, urging the wearied souls toward the light of possibility. "What if we too could wish deeply, together?" one elder pondered, her voice steady yet longing. "Together," echoed another, laughter blossoming in the air as uncertainty receded. As they gathered in a circle, hands intertwined, a warm breeze swept through, whirling laughter, tears, and joy into a chorus of faith. And Luke realized that this was the true miracle, not just their revival, but the awakening of a collective spirit that could transform fear into light. In that sacred circle, beneath the vast expanse of twinkling stars, Luke felt that every wish had been spoken into existence, filled with possibility. They were no longer bound by grief, but buoyed by love, shining brightly against the backdrop of the night. As dawn broke, the gentle light transformed into a new beginning, a canvas for all that was yet to come. "Our journey has just begun," Luke whispered, tears of gratitude falling as warmth enveloped them. The village stood united, each soul brimming with renewed hope, each voice echoing the promise that together they would embrace the divine transformation awaiting them. And in that moment, Luke knew that true faith was never a journey walked alone. It was a sacred partnership, ignited by love and manifesting miracles all around them. Let this be your call to action. If your heart moved through this story, you need to subscribe now to catch the next powerful faith stories. Don't wait even one more second. Leave a like to feed the algorithm and let this light shine. Comment below with your thoughts and testimonies. How did this ending touch you? And please share instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this divine transformation. Let us spread the light together.